When a high-performance athlete is instructed to run at 85%, they invariably run quicker than when they're told to run at 100%. In my own experience as a PhD student at Oxford University and as a medical doctor in the UK's National Health Service, I found that when I'm achieving my best performance in exams or essays, it's almost never when I'm trying my hardest. It's when I find that perfect flow state between performance and having a good time, relaxing and enjoying the process. In this video, I'm going to share 5 reasons why I counterintuitively force myself not to work my hardest at Oxford, to work to only 85% intensity at any one time. Keep watching and subscribe for more videos on the systems, frameworks and gadgets that I use to make small marginal gains with my ADHD every single day at university. The 85% rule. The 85% rule came to existence because of a very observant sprint coach. Carl Lewis was a highly decorated American track and field athlete who amassed 9 Olympic gold medals, 1 Olympic silver and 10 world championship medals in his career. The coach couldn't quite figure out why Carl Lewis was in last place or near the back for the entire first half of the sprint, but then go on to win the 100-meter sprint. After lots of thinking, this coach found that whilst his fellow sprinters would scrunch their faces up, clench their fists, become more serious and tense towards the end of the race, Carl Lewis wouldn't change anything. In other words, he would run the exact same intensity but would still end up overtaking them and winning the race in the latter half. Now, you might have seen in some of my other videos how early I sleep, how I heavily regulate what projects I'm taking on to avoid overpromising and under-delivering with ADHD, and how I only give myself 1 or a maximum of 3 things I want to achieve in my day. Well, simply put, I'm doing all of this so I can work to my best performance whilst not actually working my absolute hardest. I'm working to only roughly my 85% hardest. This was all very challenging and counterintuitive for me to implement, but I found that it's what makes a world of difference. It's counterintuitive to think you can achieve more by taking it slower with ADHD. So let's get into the 5 reasons why I've been following the 85% rule. 1. Challenging the all or nothing mindset with ADHD. Oxford breeds type A personalities. This is pretty dangerous stuff as it's very easy to burn yourself out, and it's probably why I've been burned out a few times at medical school. When I was able to see great results with the 85% rule, I was just baffled. Here's me not trying to work my utmost hardest, but I'm outperforming my own expectations, and I didn't really know it was possible because I was taught from a young age that you need to work your hardest in every situation. By following the 85% rule, I was able to rewire these old unhelpful ideas and just live a more happier and meaningful life with ADHD, and to achieve everything I ever wanted and more from medical school and during my PhD. I think there's something to be said about taking it slow with ADHD, being more deliberate and getting things right the first time, albeit in a less of a hurry. And I really think endurance matters a lot with ADHD. It doesn't help us feeling like we're always in a hurry and having to do the next big thing. The all or nothing mindset is the total opposite of the 85% rule, and I've been able to perform better by doing less and being more intentional. 2. The kitchen sink approach is counterproductive with some tasks. Now, leading on from the all or nothing mindset, even if you wanted to take the kitchen sink approach and throw everything at an opportunity or a university class or an exam, it's not going to have the effect you intended in a lot of scenarios. There's some tasks where creativity and intentionality trump brute force. And I found that when I'm writing essays or preparing a scientific manuscript, you have to reduce the pressure you place on yourself to generate good work, to have the creative space to get your ideas on paper. Writing in particular is a task that uses so much brain power. I've written over 50,000 words for my final PhD thesis at Oxford so far, and I found that it's far better that I write 2 hours before 8 AM every single day rather than 10 hours a day over a month. So yeah, brute force and working your 100% in some tasks at university does have the opposite effect. It's important to think about what works for you and what doesn't. Of course, this is something I've just found with myself and a lot of my best performing friends at Oxford. Working with lower intensity actually makes you procrastinate less. This is especially relevant if you really struggle with procrastination. Having ADHD, I've been able to find what my main triggers are and what actually gets me into a procrastination state. I found one of these is having unnecessary pressure on me. When I know I've got a lot of work to do and I'm falling behind, both anxiety and ADHD create a difficult combination to get over. I find that I generally work better and generate more meaningful work when I have some pressure on me, but where it's not overwhelming. When I work to a lower intensity and follow the 85% rule regularly, I find that I end up enjoying myself more, procrastinate less, and produce my best university work. It's important to find your procrastination triggers with ADHD and to know what gets you out of your procrastination rut. For me, when I'm not enjoying myself, I'm just primed to procrastinate. 4. Artful effortlessness can be a good state to keep yourself in. Sprezzatura is a term first coined by the 15th century Italian Renaissance writer Baldassare Castiglione in his book, The Book of the Courtier. He defines sprezzatura as a certain nonchalance so as to conceal all art and make whatever one does or says appear to be without effort and almost without any thought about it. In other words, it's about studied carelessness, or a better way to look at it is artful effortlessness. At university, I'm sure you've had the experience of studying hard for an exam whilst one of your friends didn't even study and topped the class. Well, in a nutshell, that's sprezzatura. It's about making it look easy. I found that when I don't work my hardest and I score well, it just helps create a certain confidence that just gives me energy to continue to do well. I'm not saying to intentionally not work hard, but not to overwork yourself and place all the pressure on your shoulders to do well. To try to enjoy the process, live the journey, and have fun whilst doing it. It creates a feeling that's hard to beat when you're having fun and working towards your goals. 5. Working on the right things. Now, the last reason why I follow the 85% rule with ADHD is because it means I'm almost certainly going to work on the right things. I do think all students with ADHD should actively regulate what things they say yes to at university. It's very easy to overpromise and underdeliver and leave yourself exhausted and burnt out. What I find is in any year I'll have only between 1 to a maximum of 3 goals. Most of doing well at university is saying no to things, and I actively clear up my schedule so I can get into a deep work state with the half a handful of things I'm focusing on. This automatically generates a certain level of artful effortlessness because I have the confidence to say no to things. I know what I'm focusing on and I don't need to compete with anyone. It also means I can give 85% to the handful of things I'm working on and still have the energy and time to keep that big picture mindset and be fluid, take on more things if an opportunity presents itself, or to just relax. I find I'm a lot less intentional and able to work on things creatively when I have too much on my plate. It's counterproductive, but to achieve more with ADHD, you have to actively do less. I'm always reminding myself and my uni mates that it's better to work 85% on 2 things rather than 50% on 4 things. Focus on less to achieve more. Decline invitations to things that aren't good use of your time and get into the habit of saying no to things. In this video, I shared 5 reasons why I work to only 85% intensity at Oxford. I found that by taking it down a notch and challenging the chronic worker mindset in me, I'm living a more productive, more meaningful, and happier life with ADHD. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, let me know in the comment section below what you learned. Like this video and subscribe to stay up to date with more videos on the frameworks, systems, and gadgets that I use to make small marginal gains with my ADHD every single day. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.